Question. How do we call?
He gave us a signal.
What up, Gotham Guardians and Arkham Adversaries? It is your boy Trey of the Bat Channel. We are live once again from the Bat Cave. But as always, Spartans, before we begin, I have to bring in the best AI I could ever ask for. It's Super Bro Corey.
What is up, everybody? How are we doing this beautiful Saturday morning?
Man, whew. Come on. Like, literally, that last episode was crazy. I mean, if there's one thing this entire like Paramount Plus show has done right, is action. They nailed the action, you know. And it's just, when you think about what Halo the games are, we've seen other entertainment mediums that they've approached, you know, with, you know, certain TV films that they've done, you know, straight to kind of with the Forward On to Dawn, some of the other things they've done. This show, I can see how some people say it's controversial. I can see how some gaming fans are kind of like, yeah, I'm on the fence. But today, we are going to answer the tough question. Finally, was it worth the $12 a month Paramount Plus subscription? Something like that. Was it worth that? Was it worth watching? Did it live up to the hype that fans have been waiting for a Halo series? I mean, gosh, it was especially from Steven Spielberg, I think since Halo 3 when it was announced. But Corey, before we answer that hard question, I see our chat is going crazy today. What the hell is going on?
Fire, buddy. Absolutely on fire. You know, we got Jason Kelly in here bright and early.
I can't wait to play Halo, man.
Bright and early this morning. We got Oracle's Clock Tower, Red Hooded Outlaw. You know, we have our boy Trevor H in the house. Restore the Snyderverse guy. Hashtag restore the Snyderverse guy.
You know, you all
Batwoman, Beyond the Night, the Batman Who Laughs, Carrie Kelly. You know, we got the one, the only, Sil Abdul.
Oh, shit, Sil, my man. It's good to see you guys. Sil has a freaking awesome show tonight, Scoop Center Saturdays. If you want all the great DC content, sometimes you get some Marvel stuff. I mean, come on. If you don't know Sil Abdul, I've talked about him many, many times. Him and Mikey Son, the Troublemakers, and the hashtag some black guy, people's champ, Sil Abdul Inc. You need to check out his channel. It's blowing the hell up. Like, seriously, Sil has been like through the dark times of the DC world, has kept me going. So if you haven't subscribed already to Sil Abdul Show, just what the hell are you doing? Just do it. You're wasting time. Just do it. You're gonna get some damn good scoops from Mikey and some great scoop commentary from the people's champ. So just do it. Just do it.
We got 9 Lives in Hell here.
9 Lives in Hell. How's it going?
Austin,
dude, what's up?
Fanatic. We got Beyond the Night with a $10 super chat starting us off right. We'll come right back to that one. Jason Kelly, I said, Red Hooded Outlaw, The Butler, Ryan Swayze.
What's up?
Did I miss anybody? I think I got
Ryan Swayze.
Just about everybody. I said Carrie Kelly. Yep, I think that's Yeah, man, we got a lot of people here this morning.
Fantastic. I'd love to see it. As we're building our Halo audience, it's great to see, some new faces and some people that have just been with us, all this time. But Austin Rings cut a promo for Sil. Haha, love it. Hey, man. Yeah, if Sil needs a cut, he doesn't need it. Granted, he's a much larger channel than I am, but his community over there in the live chat, man, they're always fire too. So it's always a pleasure to see Sil and just watch his shows. As a fan of, and a fellow content creator, I love his show. I love his channel. Just do. Beyond the Night with that $10 a super chat. Thank you so much, dude. You already just kicking it off, and I appreciate that. It's a good way to start season finale, episode 9. Let's start this show off right. I need a weapon. I love that. Well, definitely Master Chief needed a weapon today, or I should say Thursday, technically, when the show came out. But yeah, it was a fire episode. Corey, can you play my man Beyond the Night? A little something to say thank you.
A little fire episode, huh?
A little fire.
Dear humanity, we regret being alien bastards. We regret coming to Earth. And we most definitely regret the Corps just blew up our raggedy ass fleets. Hoorah!
Hoorah!
Hoorah! Damn, that's a character they need to bring in.
And you think that's it? No, it's not to start this.
What are you talking about? Huh?
Bat Fanatic.
Bat Fanatic.
Awesome.
See, you guys are all going crazy with I need a weapon. Yeah, see, it was definitely that kind of episode. Master Chief went off the rails today. He went crazy with that $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Bat Fanatic. Man, you always coming in, supporting us. I really do appreciate it, sir. It really does mean a lot. Corey, can you play my man Bat Fanatic something?
Yes, sir. I need a weapon.
Right this way.
Yeah, I need a weapon. You got to give it a little love. But guys, as always, before we do our season finale review, it helps us out so. Whoa. See, I caught my eye when I saw Noel's in the chat. Guys, Noel. Let me see. I still have it. That right there. Do you see this artwork? That's Noel right there. This is phenomenal. Dreamwalker by Mikey Sutton, issue number 1. This is fire. Okay, this comic art, the story is fire. But I mean, with any comic, part of what makes it
big screen, big fellow.
Make it big screen.
Let's get it on it. Yeah, slow-mo. Let me drop down his name real quick. Oh yeah, look at that, dude.
Oh,
just absolutely incredible. What's under the bed?
Boom, there it is. And artist, No Flores.
Boom.
Come on now. Can't wait for issue 2. I heard it's been blowing up in the Philippines, as it rightfully should. It's a damn good comic. It really is. If you didn't get issue 1, so sad. It's sold out, I heard. So good luck with that. But when issue 2 comes out, I think they're going to do a second printing. If I heard correctly, you guys just need to get issue 2 because 1, my man Sil Abdul is in it. He plays a vampire in it, Corey. A badass vampire. I think called really? Silver. Yeah, I saw the artwork to it on Sil show actually, and it is really cool. It is so cool. First off, how just an exciting experience to be forever, forever in a comic. Basically, it's just dope. So you just need to, when Dreamwalker comes out, as soon as I find out what date it's available to purchase, I'll let you guys know. Because it'll be worth getting, and you got to get it quick because it sold out so fast last time. Literally, I think I waited a day when I heard because I was at work, and then I was on the website I'll just purchase this, and then literally it was sold out. So I had to call a comic book shop all the way in Alaska to get my copy. So
we need the comic.
That's the length we'll go to for Nolan, for Sil and Mikey. This ending is extremely bad in my opinion. They need to step it up in season 2. I'm not even watching it. Oh, you didn't care for it, W.
It's Yellow Devil.
Oh, it's Yellow Devil. Oh, what up, Yellow Devil? You on that Wanda train, huh? Wanda Silver. Okay, I thought so. Genius name too. Mr. J310 still gonna be the new Stan Lee of comics. That'd be awesome. Hey, there's no better way to go about that. You already know.
Oh, sure.
All of us. No, you can get a flag variant for number 1 this June. It's different. Ooh.
Done and done.
Dope. Yeah, I like that. That works. do it that way. Hey, Noel, if you have a link to that at all, of like where people can maybe set a reminder or something, go ahead and put in the chat, so that way people can look at it and keep it on their thing. I'm getting the director's cut of first issue. No, just for your hard work. They're doing. Oh, did I miss this in a stream? Damn it. See, this is what happens when we're so busy doing other shit that sometimes I miss Sill's show and I have to join the replay crew a lot and can't hang out on the live chat. Yeah, there's a director's cut. Damn. All right, well, that's happening. Is it gonna be like further craziness? I bet it is. The Mikey Sutton cut. Time to make an animated film of it. Get Jay Liva on it, and we'll just watch it nonstop.
He said announcement on Monday.
Oh shit! So is this breaking news right now? Breaking news, guys. So you heard the man. You heard Noel. Mikey Sutton's Dreamwalker director's cut available Monday, or announcement Monday, but get the variant copy of issue number 1. That's gonna be fire. Holy shit. Breaking news right on the Bat channel already. Selling them comics. I love it. I'll have to talk to my guys at Hall of Justice, see if we can get some down here, get it all the way to Colorado.
Absolutely.
I think that'd be cool. I think
John would love it, dude.
John would probably, he's into kind of those horror comics. There's one actor who played Polka Dot Man in the Suicide Squad who came out with it was like Monster Hunter Crawley. I'm totally spacing the name. I have the first like couple of issues. But he came out with comics and John had him send all of his stuff over there. So that he's into that stuff. So I'm sure I could talk to John and we could see. I'm sure he'd be curious to look it up and maybe have a few issues at his place. But dope. I love it. Noel lit the signal. Yes, he did. Noel just breaking news. Just like, oh, by the way, I'm at work. There's a big comic coming out. No biggie. It's big news. Well, cool, man. I'm excited for that. I can't wait to check out the variant copy. Is it the same one with the Filipino flag in the back round? And that's just like cool artwork. But sweet, very sweet. But guys, if you don't know already, tonight, after our spoiler review of Halo Episode 9 at 9 p.m. Eastern, we are going to do a Halo Infinite game party. This is just, we're not streaming. This is just us hanging out with you guys, chilling. So if you want to hit us up, join our game party.
Unless I can figure it out real quick. Otherwise,
unless Corey can figure it out, if he can. But if he can't, it's just us hanging out with you guys. But send us a request now. I know a few of you already have, which is awesome. But send it to Titans space Valor 12, and Super Bro Corey is Biggie C 72. Send your request, and you're just gonna hop on Xbox, and we're just gonna play online Halo Infinite. So we're just gonna go for a couple of hours, just teabagging other fire teams, getting more teabags than Lipton.
Well, not just teabagging other fire teams.
No.
You're done.
Absolutely not, sir. Absolutely not. So is the game stream going to be up on Twitch or YouTube, Ryan? No, because possibly.
Maybe.
It depends if Corey figures it out. I have had zero time to kind of look up how to stream when we play games that I didn't.
If you're not watching us on the Bat channel on Twitter, follow Twitter, and we'll make a post if we can figure it out before tonight's show.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll do some tests and see if we can make something happen, but I'm not sure. Not sure if it's going to work out. But send us your requests now, guys, and make sure to put in a message that says, "Hey, from the Bat channel" or "from TBC," so that way I know you're not spamming us. Because weirdly, I get spammed a lot from like weird cam people or something like that. I don't know. So just let us know that you're from the Bat channel and you're coming to play tonight. So it's gonna be a good time. I'm excited for it. As some of you do know, Sunday we got our birthday celebration stream with special guest. I don't want to name who everyone is going to be yet because I know sometimes it can fluctuate, but we're going to have some really cool special guests, guys. Some people we've never had on our show before. Some people you have seen on our show. I'm really, really excited. It's going to be just a fun panel. We're just going to have a good time, chat, whatever you guys want to talk about, topics, whether it's the Snyderverse, Godzilla, Halo, Jurassic World, Top Gun Maverick, literally The Witcher, Stranger Things, whatever you guys want to talk about, we'll talk about. And it's just us kind of celebrating with you guys for a little bit, turning 28, you know. Just figured I'd celebrate with you guys for a little bit because weirdly, as you know, as I do look at YouTube as kind of a second job, you know, because I put a lot of hard work in it. It's also kind of the fun part of my day, you know. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be Sunday tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you guys join us. It's going to be a damn good time. Set your reminders now. It's just going to be a fun time. I'm excited for it. It's going to be good stuff. I'll at least be in the chat for a minute. My man, Sil, you know, when you can bless us just in the chat, that means a lot already, brother. Already means a lot. But yeah, it's going to be good. Hamada is on the birthday stream. Damn, Hamada will be on the birthday stream, and we will. No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna, you know, that scene in Law Abiding Citizen when Jar Butler. I'm just kidding. You know, May babies, yo. May the 4th be with you. You know, yeah. This is the May. Oh, you're a Taurus. Technically, I'm a Gemini. Unfortunately, I think I'm just the next day, you know, Gemini. So
because his birthday was just a few days ago, right?
It was on Tuesday, I believe. Yeah, Tuesday. Yeah, I hopped on the stream a little bit with Sil Abdul. That was a damn good time. So many cool people on the panel. I mean, Zod Rider as always. I think Jeffrey Warfield was there.
I love Zod Rider.
Love Zod.
Zod is my boy.
Right? He's just a damn cool dude. You know, I mean, everyone on that panel was cool. I mean, the whole community that we have over, you know, with Coffee Talk and Sil and just the Snyderverse community is just fucking awesome. They're just cool people, you know. So yeah, Tuesday, and yeah, Sil's been getting a lot of crazy stuff happening to him lately too. It was not the best of birthday celebrations from other clowns, you know, amongst the DC world, but we don't let that phase us at all because F the haters.
Well, smoke those fools.
F them kids, Corey.
F them kids.
F them kids. You know what I'm saying?
Hashtag
you know what I'm saying,
Paramount,
right?
plus that F them kids.
Well, guys, it always helps us out so much when you Spartans smash that like, share this video, get your friends in the live chat, because the more people we have in the chat, the funner it is. It's a damn good time when we have a lot of people in the chat. Okay. And then hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode, because after this, kind of the next show that we're going to go episode by Kenobi. I'm excited for this. Maybe Stranger Things, but then again, Corey doesn't watch Stranger Things. I'm trying to get him to, but he don't. He ain't about that life. But help us get to 2K subscribers. We're so close to 1,400, but 2K would be really nice by by our 2nd year anniversary. So that'd be awesome. But it's all up to you guys. And as you've seen some already other people doing, you know, super chats go a long way, and we like to say thank you with, you know, a little themed clip. But super chats go right back into the show, whether we're donating to the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention or Feeding America, which we've done most of the time. Otherwise, it just goes right back to the Bat Channel with improving our camera, lighting, you know, subscriptions like StreamYard. It goes right back into making better content for you guys. So if you're enjoying what we're doing, super chats go a long way to say we like you. Keep doing what you're doing, and we appreciate it. Thank you. All right, Corey, are you ready, sir?
You know damn right I'm ready.
Are you ready to get into Spoiler Valley?
Ooh.
Spoiler Gulch.
We going straight to spoilers, or we going to do a recap?
Well, I mean, recap is spoilers too for those who haven't seen episode 8.
Good point. Correcto mundo, Trey. Spoiler warning coming now.
It's not just a signal. It's a warning.
Okay. So, guys, as you always know, we do an episode 8 recap. And episode 8, Allegiance, was definitely exactly what it said it was going to be. Thank you, Noel. I appreciate that. Allegiance was all about allegiances and the changes in allegiance. As we know, Maki was sent as a Trojan horse of the Covenant, and they were, you know, basically going to use her to steal the artifact and kill what?
Trojan.
No, I knew you were going to say some stupid shit like that. No, Super Bro Corey, get your mind out of the gutter. Go to horny jail. Jesus. Anyways, they sent her in as a Trojan horse, and as we were hoping, Master Chief wouldn't trust her pretty quick, but the fact that they're connected as blessed ones, Master Chief found a little bit of a stronger connection to her when they had a vision on the Halo ring, and he caressed her face, and it led to business time, in the sack.
Business.
He's never done it before, but apparently Master Chief don't need no training on that one.
He figured it out real
ready
quick,
to go.
right?
He was clapping them blessed cheeks. But, so anyways, this whole situation made Maki start to have conflict of interest, think that maybe humans aren't so bad after all after this time. Maybe she just met the wrong people and that maybe the Covenant were wrong. And she decides to maybe join the humans, the humanity side against the Covenant as she removes her little, saber nail that she had, that little crazy thing.
Energy nail.
Energy nail, thank you. But it doesn't take long because Halsey is a manipulating punk, a genius manipulator. She's a master manipulator. Master Chief is, Master Chief, but she's a master manipulator, this Halsey. And she clearly wants to use Maki to activate the artifact and to use it for her own advancement in human evolution because she doesn't think she can trust John anymore. And in doing so, it creates this whole problem and conflict between John and Halsey and the UNSC, to where Halsey is now being taken away from her research because the UNSC can't trust her either. So she is going to turn her Spartan Silver team against John and the UNSC and try to take Maki hostage. But John ain't about that life. So we leave that last episode with a battle breaking down, a clash between the Spartans of John 117, Spartan Vanek, and Spartan Riz, with Spartan Kai coming in to save the day. But Maki was also captured by the UNSC, now knowing that she was a traitor and there as a plant from the Covenant to take them down. So she is backed into the corner and does the one thing she can do, which is activate the Forerunner artifact. So it causes a big burst of energy. And that's where we kind of left the last episode. And so we didn't know what was going to happen.
There was multiple explosions last episode.
I'm not even gonna respond to that. It's just one of those things, Corey. So episode 9, Corey. We know Maki's probably lost her faith in humanity. They did the same thing they did to her when she was first, met with the Covenant. But we start episode 9, Transcendence, with right where we left John 117. The alarms have been sounded from the energy burst from the artifact. John is dazed. The Spartans lying amongst the rubble. Maki has taken the artifact. She joined the Covenant again. Didn't take her long. She was vulnerable. She was swinging both ways. Couldn't handle it. Decided that, humans are still pieces of shit. Maybe it's just John that she likes. But she takes the artifact. But what was interesting, Corey, there was a particular scene where clearly Maki needs a ride off the planet Reach, and she shoots a UNSC guard, and you see confliction in what she just did, or what she has done, I should say. What did you think of that particular scene? Clearly, she pulls she holds the gun on the other guy and says, "Take me to a Covenant ship." But I thought it was very interesting that just after she kind of said, "F these humans, I'm going to go back to the Covenant and take the artifact," you see a moment of hesitancy. You see some conflict in her when she shoots the first guy.
Well, I don't necessarily think that she's completely given up on humans. Obviously, she still likes John. John's the only one she can trust. Yet she's been betrayed by Halsey, or not necessarily betrayed. She saw, she saw
the worst side of humanity.
She saw the worst side of humanity again. So she was going to take it into her own, doings to make sure that it doesn't fall in to that side. Now, I did find it interesting how quickly she kind of ran back, but it was interesting. The one guard that she probably would have, I thought she would have killed, she didn't, so.
I was waiting for her to kind of off him, as soon as she he took her to the Covenant ship and just go, there you go, you're down. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but Clearly there's, in a way, I kind of thought, well, maybe there's hope for her when I first saw the episode. I was like, well, maybe there's a chance for her to come back. Maybe John can convince her. But we'll see where that kind of leads up to. It kind of leads up to this question mark, this tension in the episode between her and John, because obviously there's going to be a battle or maybe a conflict between them later on in the episode. But she is able to get to I think a Phantom ship. Phantom, right? I think it's called Phantom, if I recall, in Halo lore. A Phantom ship, the Covenant, to escape the planet Reach with the artifact. But we go back to John with Spartan Vanek and Riz, who are holding Kai at gunpoint. And there, Vanek, man, he is loyal to Halsey to a fault. He is just not giving up that mission. He's going to hold John accountable. But this is, Corey, if there's one character that I really enjoyed, because he probably had one of the biggest character arcs and like growth as a character, Captain Keyes. Yeah. Captain Keyes comes to the rescue for John and Kai in this.
We needed that because I think we all kind of like took a step back and were like, holy shit, Captain Keyes is kind of crazy as well in this TV show. Like we all loved Captain Keyes in the video game. Captain Keyes was a respected captain. So it was a little disturbing in this show how much he was, on the dark side with Halsey. So yeah, we needed something. But man, Vanek, dude, holy shit, bro.
Vanek is just a badass. I do love his character. He's just he is very much what you expect a Spartan to truly be. But I love.
He's cool as shit too, though, man. He's cool as shit. I was as people know, we were rewatching all the ones, and it was like episode 4 where Kai takes the emotion chip out, and she's like, oh yeah, have you ever heard a grunt cry for its life? And he's like, pathetic, and he's just like, he does have an emotion chip, but he's like still, like
he gets
badass.
Joy out of some things, right? He gets joy out of violence. He's just like, yeah, we kill those little grunts. I'm like, oh no, demon here. And he definitely he brings it up in this show. This episode, Vanek goes all out. You see the more savage side of him that is just even more badass, and you gotta love it. Especially, like I said, Halo, the one thing that they definitely nailed was action in this. But it was great to see Captain Keyes, especially as Corey said, like throughout the entire season, you saw him in the very first couple of episodes, very much like Halsey, like anything, sacrifice anything for the greater good. And here he's kind of realizing that maybe wasn't the best route, that he's seen how Halsey has become what it's done to Miranda and those around him. And he realizes the damage he's caused with the Spartans. And in a way, that's kind of weird because Spartans usually, like, who cares? We kind of known this. If you play the video games, you know that the Spartans were kidnapped and they kind of went through this rigorous training and, genetic tampering, to make them super soldiers. It was a rough life for them. So they're kind of hardened that way. But here, because of this show and creating drama and conflict, they add a little bit more of that emotional, dramatic side, especially when it comes to John 117 and Kai 125. And even Riz was starting to have a moment. Corey, do you think coming down to it, would Riz have pulled the trigger?
Yes, I think they all would have pulled the trigger still.
Okay. That's interesting. Interesting.
And the reason I say, like, I was trying to choose my words carefully, but at this point we're spoiling shit now. They were all in the Pelican later on in the thing, and they're like, would you really have killed me? And they're like, yeah. Would you really have pulled the trigger? Yeah. That was
a great scene.
It was, because while they're each other's friends and they care about each other, a lot of ways the mission comes first, and they each thought they were on the right side. So it would have been unfortunate casualties for sure, but I think ultimately they probably would have done what they needed to do.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. Oh, sorry. I totally missed that. Trevor H with a $5 super chat. My man. Thank you so much. This is already a great stream. Thank you. Appreciate that, man. We dive in deep. We get into the nitty gritty of this show because I don't know about you, Corey, but I liked this one compared to the other ones.
It's by far my favorite episode of all the episodes so far.
Let's talk. We'll talk about that in just a moment. We will. But Trevor H, thank you so much, sir, for that $5 super chat. This is for you to say thank you.
Oh, I know what the ladies like.
Oh, I know what the ladies
Oh, I know what the
you know, you already know. But I love it. I love that you know, this whole scene, it just kind of really explains where the Spartans are at this moment. You know, Vanek is forced to kind of let go of the mission because Halsey has betrayed him, and he finally realizes that. But Kai is on a different mission.
Yeah, and the thing too that I thought was interesting is when he pointed the gun at Chief too, you know, and he's like, "You lying, man," you know, like, yeah, he's getting, you know, like kind of flustered a little. We never seen Vanek, you know, lose his
right.
cool like
he lost his composure
too.
a bit. He lost his strong stature that he normally is.
That's why, without a doubt, Vanek would have pulled the trigger. Without a doubt in my mind.
Yeah. Well, I think Vanek would have. I'm not sure Riz would have, but the grunts are.
She did drop the gun, but I think she would have. I think she would have.
Yeah, the grunts are appropriately huge. Yeah, they are kind of a little bit on. I mean, they're definitely. I don't know. I mean, at least they're definitely the silly, easy to kill characters, which is awesome.
Red Hooded Outlaw said Riz, I think, wouldn't have pulled the trigger. I think interesting.
I think she wouldn't have either.
Also,
Riz is one of my nicknames. Might just have to just watch to see that character. Riz is a cool character. She is a badass. She's a cool Spartan. I think you would dig her. Kai is probably my favorite of the female Spartans, but because she's a badass too. But I would have felt bad about it. Yeah, I love that too. That Kai's like, yeah, but the difference between you would have just shot me because, like, you know, you're a Spartan, you're following mission, like, because I don't have my emotional chip in, like, I would have felt bad. Yeah. I would have done it, but oh well.
I think that's all we needed to know.
Right? Yeah. But I love that you know, they now know the truth. They're back on Master Chief's side. You know, Silver Team is back together again. And they're, you know, like we said earlier, they're going to try to capture Maki, but Kai's like, Halsey's trying to escape right now, and I have a score to settle with her. You know, she ain't going to let that grudge go. She's going to take her down. And that was such a crazy scene to see her hop onto Halsey's ship and to, you know, try to capture Halsey as she's trying to make the escape. Like, it just proves more why Kai is such a badass. But I personally, you know, love how she's kind of like, she's like screaming, like, who am I? Like, who was I before this? What's my real name? And I love that Halsey says to her, you are exactly who you are meant to be. And funny enough, this is one part where I kind of felt like the episode was a bit of a letdown because I felt like there was something weird kind of going on with the assistant that Halsey had, especially when he like tried to make out with Halsey's clone in like episode 2 or 3. I think it was 3. Because there was something like weird there. Like, that was like a really weird scene to add, like him kind of try to go into a kiss for a clone that couldn't move at the time. It was a real creep scene.
He was trying to clap some
he was trying to clap some clone cheeks, you know,
pre-Cortana cheeks.
Well, geez, more like Halsey cheeks, but
no, I think he's into Cortana. I think
you think he's into Cortana. Well, it doesn't matter anyways, because like an idiot, he went after Kai, trying to take her out, and Kai didn't appreciate that very much, so she threw him through the roof.
That was so great.
It was a great scene. I mean, just simply because it's like, you idiot. Like, if anyone should know, like, if that was gonna work or not, like, yeah, that was a moment where you should have known not to mess with a Spartan.
Exactly, man. That was such a tight scene where she just boom, power.
Yeah. But because he is able to kind of knock her out a little bit, at least get her off her feet, it does allow Halsey the time to escape and run away into escape pod, which I'm glad they used the escape pod designs from the first Halo game, I think in the second mission that we see. But the ship is compromised. You know,
I have a question before we get there.
Yeah.
Let's say alternate reality. We got an alternate multiverse action going on. Okay.
Yeah.
What happens if she got Halsey? Does she kill Halsey?
In an alternate multiverse? Like,
and I'm curious what the chat
I
has
don't
to
think
say.
she does. I don't think
Does
she
Kai
does kill her
kill
because
Halsey?
there's one, like, Halsey is smart enough to, and just is manipulating enough to find a way out of that situation. I think she could have manipulated Kai into be like, obviously, if you want to find out who you are, you're going to have to save me. You know, you're going to have to let me live, you know, otherwise you're not going to find the truth.
I think the rage of Kai, I could see her killing Halsey, but I'm sure there's some verses that she probably does kill her, but I would also say that, in my opinion, Halsey would have a backup plan still, even before that goes down. I think she would have been ready to go to stop Kai as well. Some type of trick up her sleeve. She always has tricks up her sleeves, doesn't she?
Absolutely. I mean, it's Halsey, and that's partly, I mean, you see the trick up her sleeve shortly after this, but you know, the ship is going down, the ship is compromised, and it looks like Kai is going to have to go down with the ship. But like a phoenix, she emerges from the ashes and the smoke, and it was just such a really cool scene to see her, because I almost teared up. I don't know about you, Corey, but I really like Kai's character, and it almost, like, when I thought they were going to kill her off, I was like, shit, that sucks. But I was glad they didn't kill her off. It's funny,
when I saw that, I was like, oh, Spartans never die. And then
they just regroup in hell.
And then I saw the arm, and I was like, oh, thank God she didn't die, because I was a little worried.
I was a little worried too. You know, I didn't know what to expect on that, especially when, you know, the first Halo Combat Evolved game starts off with Master Chief by himself. You're kind of like, at some point, all these Spartans are going to go, you know? But I don't know. It was just the way it was. Jason Kelly, whoa, sensitive much? No, I just really liked her character, and I was kind of like, shit. Like, it was more of like, I was just more sad that, like, oh man, that's the end of her story arc. I thought there was more we could have done with her. Yeah, it was more of that, I think, than actual just like, oh man, this is really sad.
Because season 2, I expect more Spartan.
I expect something as well with season 2. But Spartans never die. Of course, Trevor H, you know, you already know. But then, of course, we get opening credits. I know it was an action-packed opening sequence. They went heavy in the first sequence. It was crazy. Now that was for the incel comment. Oh, my bad. Sorry. I'm looking up and down at multiple times. Jason Kelly, my man. So Corey, after the opening credits, we get John reviewing the footage of Maki, kind of working, you know, seeing her taking the artifact, activating it. And one thing, this was very interesting. There was a conversation that was going on that wasn't quite, they didn't make it the priority in the audio, you know, so it wasn't like super loud. And they kind of made it like just a side thing going on. But if you listened in on it, I thought this was very interesting that Cortana was actually telling, you know, the Admiral, and I think even Captain Keyes, that Maki had a change of heart before she integrated with the artifact, that she was on the humanity side. And Cortana kind of says, like, this was your fault. You know, that you made her make this decision to go back to the Covenant.
Well,
what did you think of that?
You know, it made perfect sense to me. Cortana, while she's learning about humans, she sees the best and she sees the worst in humans. So she's logical, you know, she's our, you know, the show is very Star Trek-y to me in a lot of ways. And she is our Spock, and she's very logical in that sense, you know.
And Spock is actually a really great connection. And I mean, I know it's Paramount, and, you know, they have Star Trek as well, but Spock, because he's half human and Vulcan, he is half logical and a genius, but he has that human element to him that allows him to express emotions differently from other Vulcans. So yeah, Cortana is a wonderful example of who Cortana is as a character, really. That's a great point, Corey. But yeah, I thought it was very interesting. When I heard that conversation, I was almost a little sad that they didn't make it like that they kind of cut her off because John is already like, he's on a mission. He's like, we need to find Maki. Like, we need to find this location that she talked about. This riddle she gave us to find where the Covenant are with the 2 artifacts now. And this was like one part of the conversation where I kind of like, there's moments of brilliance in the script with Halo, the series. And then there's moments where I kind of go, what was the purpose of that? Or like, was that like a weird comedic element that they try to add? Did you catch the Admiral saying to Cortana when she's like when Cortana's kind of explaining the connection between Maki and John, that the Admiral was like, did you feel it, Cortana? When they were kind of referring to the sex scene?
I didn't take it like that. I took it again like they were questioning her. She's just AI. She doesn't have feelings. She can't have feelings. She's just she does what they want her to do. So like for her to be making this hypothesis of what she believes, what her feelings were, I think was maybe new for them.
Interesting. Okay. Personally, I thought it was a weird, like kind of weird comment about what happened.
Maybe you should go to horny jail.
Oh my God, Corey. But man, I gotta say, one of the things I really loved about this episode, Austin Reeks asked, so was there any cheat code skulls? Unfortunately not. That'd be kind of a cool Easter egg maybe in season 2, like if Master Chief's just walking around and sees a skull, picks it up, and it just starts beating a grunt with it or something. Oh, she felt it. Oh my God, Batwoman, the butler. Yeah, I'm chuckling too on that one. That's hilarious. Oh gosh, I lost my place where I was at. We were talking.
Yeah, we were talking about how
the science fiction. The science fiction of this show in particular, but in this episode, was phenomenal. As they're kind of explaining why the planet that they're searching for is hidden to them. All the science to it, that from their perception of, where they're viewing it from, and how light is being bent in a way to where they can't see the planet. I'm thinking like, this is just like freaking cool. Like they're talking like a black hole kind of thing, right? Like they're kind of going into that. And I just loved that this show in particular, like, as I've kind of said to people, if you're a Halo fan of the games, I think you found maybe the show sometimes disappointing and maybe boring at some points because it wasn't as action packed, because the games are just nonstop action for 10 hours, right? If you're watching it as a science fiction fan, I think you really dug it. Because especially this episode.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you brought that up already, Trey, because that's when we were doing our rewatch of the season. Mm-hmm. That's how I took it this go around. I took it more as I don't care about what I know about Halo as far as me playing the games go. I'm taking this as a sci-fi fan. I'm taking this as a person who wants to enjoy a good story. And it definitely changed my opinions on the show.
So I've noticed, we'll get into our ratings in a little bit, but of course, now that they've kind of discovered the Covenant planet, the Admiral wants to send in the cavalry with the Marines. But of course, Chief is like, we're the Spartans. We are the cavalry. Like, don't waste lives. We got this. And, I love that she kind of says to him, like, well, dude, like, you're still kind of emotionally compromised in a way. She's like, when you walk into that battlefield, you are no longer John. John must not exist. You are only the Master Chief. And I love that because that will play into what happens later. But of course, Captain Keyes and John, as the Spartans start to gear up, they kind of have a little bit of reconciliation. But I love that John even says to Captain Keyes, like, because Captain Keyes is trying to make it right, even though he knows there's really nothing that can be forgiven at this point. His life, John and the other Spartans' lives were taken away, and children died when they were trying to create all these Spartans. But I love that John says there will be a reckoning one day, like, but it's not today. So kind of referencing that there is going to be at some point, I don't know, maybe the Spartans in a weird way take legal action one day. I don't know what's exactly going to happen, but I can't wait to see where they go with that. They did set up season 2 quite a bit, and possibly future seasons, depending on how far they want to go with this show. But as the Spartans like group up and they prepare for takeoff, that's where we get that great joke that Corey was talking about earlier. We're like, would you have really shot me? Like, oh yeah, totally would have shot you. But we learned that Halsey, from her escape pod, she is trying to flee the UNSC, but of course it doesn't take long for her to get surrounded by the UNSC Marines and captured. And of course, Miranda is now learning of her father's betrayal and his part playing into the kidnapping and the cover up of, taking the Spartan children. She's obviously clearly disappointed with her father. They've had a great relationship kind of throughout this series. And I think for the first time, she really is troubled by her father's part in some of her mom's evil deeds to advanced humanity. But I love the interaction where she goes to see her mom because she's captured. And Corey, what did you think of that whole scene? Halsey's kind of remaining silent. We don't really know her to be kind of a silent person. She's very strong and very outspoken. But I love how she's kind of telling her, like, there's a private trial, you're guilty. Your punishment is going to be Article 72. And she's, Miranda's kind of taking this as a one-up. It's kind of like a weird situation that here her daughter is and kind of showing her no mercy to even her own mother.
I think the real Halsey, too, would have been a little bit quiet in this.
Oh, you think so?
The scene as well. Yes, she talks a lot. Yes, she has an answer to everything. But if you notice throughout the show, she's also extremely observant. She's constantly watching Master Chief and watching how he's reacting to things, taking a step back and watching what people are saying. So I think I wasn't surprised or I wasn't off guard by any means how Halsey was acting in that scene. So the next part was a surprise to me.
It was a huge surprise to me too, because it caught me off guard, because when Halsey and her assistant were originally on the ship trying to escape from the UNSC and escape from Kai, her assistant had mentioned something to her, like, we have a package, like we could use it to our advantage to escape. And I remember, like, while I was watching the show, kind of thinking, like, well, we never learned what the hell that package was. Well, all of a sudden, Halsey starts to have a seizure, and Miranda is able to figure out pretty quickly what's going on.
All right.
Halsey.
Yep. Just say it, Trey. Say it. Give it to me, Trey.
Halsey switched. She did a switch. It is not the actual Halsey. It is a clone. Just like she did with the Spartan children when she kidnapped them from their families and switched them with a clone that would eventually die in a few days. She did the same with her own clone self. And we know her cruelty because we saw in episode 2 that she was just willing, and in episode 3, she was just willing to kill herself, basically.
So I'm glad you said that, Trey, because I'm curious what the chat has to say as well.
Okay.
Halsey was quiet when they talked about the package, right? On the ship. I wonder if that was already the clone Halsey on the ship from the very beginning, that she had already switched.
That's an interesting. So you think she kind of tricked her own assistant, like threw him to the wolves almost? That is a cool theory.
Because especially when I was like, holy shit, that makes a million sense that she would have a clone to get away from a situation like this. But what better of a way to sell your new self as a clone is by having that clone go with your assistant. So immediately, the assistants with the clone, people are going to automatically think that is the true Dr. Halsey.
Yeah, that's quite brilliant. I almost wish they would have showed that, because I think they won't ever address that.
No.
But I love it. I dig it. I kind of wish that was the case, because I think that would have shown just how cold she is, even to a new level. The fact that she was just give up her assistant, like, yeah, I knew you were gonna die, and like I put you with my clone this entire time.
We should write, or tweet the Halo producers or directors to see if we could get maybe some insight,
a confirmation on theory.
I would love to know that, man. It had me thinking, because she's always one step ahead. She's more than one step ahead. She's like 10 steps ahead of everybody, of everything, even the Spartans themselves.
That's just a brilliant theory. I'm really kind of sad that it's not that, because like, just what a great layer. I mean, already a known layer, but just something as simple as, I mean, her assistant has been by her side. Her assistant has gone out of his way and has incriminated himself, probably because he loves her. And I think that would have been a great thing to show because of his death, was to kind of show, here's a guy that went above and beyond because he loves her and he wants to be with her, but she never felt that way about him, and that she was just able to wipe him off, and send him down his road. That is a great freaking theory, Corey.
Let's do it, Trey. You tweet that shit.
I will. I will actually reach out to Paramount Plus and some of the directors, and maybe even I don't know if the actress has the actress who plays Halsey has a Twitter account, but I'll definitely try to reach out.
We'll find you.
Oh man, dude, great theory. But as we get to it, we know that Halsey, tricked the UNSC, that she has escaped. And now we go to Maki, who arrived on this planet, this desert planet that kind of reminds me, Corey, of a Halo 3 map. I think it was called like Sandstone, or no, Sandbox. It was called Sandbox. It kind of looks like that, but it's this Covenant planet where she has brought them the second artifact that they're obviously, the prophets are there. I don't know if you noticed, Corey, but they had the ceremonial elites in their armor. I was hoping to see that at some point. It was really cool to see. But of course, they're going to integrate the two artifacts together. And I love that. I think it's the prophet Mercy and the prophet of, I think, Regret. And Regret is obviously kind of like, Mercy, who's kind of always been Maki's, I guess you could say, the prophet in her corner, who sticks by her side. He's kind of like, you did great. You got us the artifact. You wiped out a few UNSC people while you're at it. Like you got us both. You did a great job. And Regret is kind of like, she promised us the demon's head. Like, she didn't deliver enough, and I'm
never satisfied.
Yeah. I'm never satisfied. Like, she doesn't belong on the great journey with us. And they kind of go into that a little further because, Maki can kind of tell the distrust, and she can honestly feel, I think because she's been betrayed so many times recently, that she's starting to pick up on it easier, that she kind of recognizes the prophets are probably going to betray her soon too, because she even asks, like, do I have a place on this great journey? And Mercy tries to kind of give her the comfort, saying like, oh yeah, of course, you're a blessed one. Of course, you're going to have a place in the great journey and you're not going to be wiped out. But Regrets, as they have a discussion earlier, later, I should say, that's not quite the plan. They do hope she burns along with all the other unworthy people, because she is not a Covenant. She is not part of the group, as it were. But Corey, what did you think about that particular scene, the betrayal of the prophets?
I thought it was a little interesting. I don't know if they would have thought that she, like, I know they don't like her. I don't know if she necessarily would have burned to them. Like, I was thinking more, place in hell, like a sacrifice, type thing. And they kind of mentioned that a little bit later, like, the Blessed One needed to be sacrificed in some ways to get things going. So yeah, that's how I kind of took it. But I thought it was, I wasn't surprised, like it's the Covenant, they and especially them, they're the top dog. So
Yeah. Especially the prophets, right? Like the prophets even don't really care about the other, species of the covenant. The grunts, forget them. The jackals, whatever, the elites, they don't care about the elites. Clearly,
they are all pawns. All pawns,
exactly. Yeah, they're definitely. And it's interesting that you kind of bring that up, Corey, because I think that's one of the cool things about Cortana. One of her famous quotes that we'll get into in just a second. But remind me about Cortana's famous quote. That she says about pawns and keens.
It's that time of the day.
It's that time of Butler, dude. That's a great theory. See, yeah, I agree. That theory that Corey had was just fantastic. Oh, see, Corey, we made it. Once again, we made it. We're hitting it big. Again, those porn bots.
Well, they heard us kind of talk about clapping them blessed cheeks.
They're like, ooh, blessed cheeks. We got it here on this page. Subscribe to our weird channel. The Butler, thank you so much for that $5 super chat, sir. That really means a lot to us. I agree. That was Corey's just coming up with the great theories lately. It's absolutely brilliant. But Corey, can you play my man, the Butler, a little something to say thank you?
Absolutely. Let's do this one.
Permission to leave the station.
For what purpose, Master Chief?
To give the Covenant back their bomb.
Permission granted.
I love that so much.
We're about to come in hot. Man, I love this next scene with Cortana because one, it kind of reminded me more of what Cortana is. She's never really this giant thing following Chief around. I think until like Halo 4 or 5 that you finally see her kind of in the big, kind of human sized thing. But she's always kind of been small in like the first 3 games. But I love that. She's just really reconnecting with John on a whole new level and kind of regaining his trust by telling him the truth of her purpose. Like she's like, yeah, Halsey created me to one day completely take over your body to where you're not a person anymore. Like I'm running you, like I control you completely, mind, body, soul, basically Cortana will become Chief. And I love that he asked her like, well, why didn't you do it? Like this was your purpose and you're an AI, you wouldn't have feelings about that. And she tells him like, well, I learn, I'm an artificial intelligence that continues to learn. She's like, and because of you, I've learned about humanity. I've learned about the good side. And she's like, the thing that Halsey thinks makes you weak, I think is what makes you special and strong. And, the great thing about humanity. And I love that so much because Corey and I know what happens to Cortana in the future. And that is just going to be an insane character arc. Yes.
If you keep up with the show, which we'll talk about that.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I really loved about that scene, it was obviously she's showing her trust within John and how wonderful John is. But I also love the fact that they played into their relationship a little bit more. And she's like, plus your body's all beat up. Maybe not now. She's like,
it's all busted up because partly, Maki just had her. You got that blessed cheeks. I don't want none of that blessed STDs. I'm just kidding. Who knows what the Covenant have done to her? And I'm just kidding. It was really a wonderful scene. Yeah, blessed cheeks. It really was a great scene and highly underrated in many ways. But I loved the interaction between them. But this is where I say one of the coolest parts of this entire show and this particular episode was the science fiction, them going through that no star field, the black, I'm pretty sure it was a black hole, basically, that they were flying through, was just like one of the coolest, visually stunning space traveling scenes I've ever seen. That I was just like, as a science fiction geek, I was like, oh my God, this is phenomenal. It's just one of the coolest sci-fi scenes ever. Corey, what did you think about it?
Absolutely phenomenal. I immediately go back to one part of that scene. They're having trouble navigating. The ship's being pulled apart. Everything's going on. And, Cortana just had a conversation that she could have taken over his body. The one thing that I thought was interesting, there was like part where he kind of became like one with the Force, and you see it did a close up of his face, and his eyes kind of like digitally twinkled for a second. It was almost like he was inside of Cortana, like, and vice versa, and he was able to see what Cortana was seeing. Well, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that, Cortana
that he was able to maybe have a connection with her on another level that we haven't quite seen before, that he could see through her eyes almost?
Almost. That's what I was wondering. What are your thoughts on that?
That's an interesting thought, Corey. Man, you're coming up with some cool stuff. I wondered about that too. Like, I wasn't sure if it was maybe because he is a blessed one in a sense, because we really still don't know what a blessed one truly is, why they're blessed, why they're blessed, I should say. But it is a very interesting scene, and I was very curious about that too, because you do kind of see his eyes twinkle in a way to where they almost become like starry looking.
Yes.
It was kind of interesting. Like he was able to navigate on a universal level.
Yes. So it may be partly blessed one, but the fact that Cortana said, like, just before that, she's like, don't worry, listen to what I tell you, and we'll get through this. I'll direct you in. And then she kind of disappeared. And to me, when those eyes kind of twinkled, and almost like a digital, little digitally twinkle of stars, it made me wonder, like, if now
that you bring that up, it's very possible that the in a way the gravitational pull and just the effect of the black hole that they were traveling through could have maybe integrated them together in a way that we haven't seen. Which
is absolutely wild, because we already know how close Cortana and John's bond is from the games. So if they're able to do this next level shit, I am incredibly excited for what's to come.
Yeah, it was very, very cool. But of course, they make it through the black hole and they find the Covenant planet, and it's now go time. This is where shit just gets insane. Of course, Master Chief makes a halo jump from the Pelican ship with Silver Team on him, and Corey, probably one of the coolest scenes about that is that you just see this grunt, and it's such a classic like Halo thing where they always do kind of like a grunt just doing his own silly stupid thing. And then the UNSC or a Spartan just absolutely destroys that grunt. Like, poor grunts, they just never have it easy.
Well, I absolutely love that scene, because it reminded me exactly. Well, first, obviously, it was fantastic seeing the Halo, jump, how they just jumped high altitude and then landed just right on the ground. No parachute opening at all. But it was fantastic in the sense that we saw what I'd love to do in the games, where me, I'm not one to do a lot of sneaking around of video games and stuff like that. I like to be the door kicker and like, what's up, everybody? It's a life bomb, but there's always times in Halo where a door opens and the grunts are sleeping, and you just start terrorizing them.
You knock them out. You don't even shoot. You just
you're just
it's one and it felt like that. It really did feel like, the grunts sleeping on the job. Here's the perfect time, to knock them out.
Absolutely.
And it was wonderful because, Corey, we even talked about this, that we would love to see an episode where we see a more tactical side of the Silver Team of Spartans. The space drop was epic, Jason. I completely agree, bro. Crush that grunt. It was just cool to see that we did get a piece of it. I wanted more of it, and I want to see like a nighttime fight scene, because I think visually that could be really cool, and just to see the Spartans kind of be that sneaky tactical self, because that's a side we don't really see. Because I mean, when we're the game players, we're often like, Corey, you're a Spartan, you just go through beating the hell out of buddy. But it was cool to see them kind of have a little bit of that tactical moment where the Covenant are unaware of their presence yet because they're taking them out quietly. And I personally loved, Vanek, when he freaking crushes that grunt's mask and takes his needler. Like, that was like such like, Vanek is just cool. Loved it. And of course, Kai taking the sniper round. And I don't know. It felt like they did something different this time. I don't recall seeing it in like episode 5 or the previous episode with the sniper, but it looks like they pulled a little more of the games in it. Like you even saw the scope, with the little target on it, the bullseye point, like kind of what you see in the video games. It's for some reason when I watched this round, I was kind of like, oh wow, this looks a lot more like the games for some reason than it did before. Like I knew they were like it kind of looks like the games before, but this one in particular, it looked like they really went for the game, because even on the assault rifle, you saw the number, of ammo in the gun while he's shooting at people. It was just the action sequence in this moment was just insane.
This entire episode paid tribute to the game the way we know it as Halo fans. I forgot to mention a little bit earlier, but when they were going through the black hole and their ship was pulling apart, every time the shields went down, did you notice that they played the sound of like the shields going down?
I did.
Down. I was like, it was great. There's so many tributes that this last episode had for us.
Yeah, it was just a very like incredible job. There, and I love that, Corey. I felt like they also kind of pulled some references to this, because Master Chief kind of references that the security is light around this this structure. And all of a sudden, when the Covenant is finally alerted to their presence and the prophets, all escape, to safe ground.
By the way, that was perfect timing as well, because you do go around in the game and you're hitting people and everything like that. But eventually there's that one grunt or one piece of shit that sees you and ruins the entire, killing everybody while they're sleeping vibe. So, I thought the timing was even perfect there as well.
Oh yeah, it was just very, very, very well done in this particular scene. And what it reminded me of, Corey, is that when the Covenant all of a sudden, they're sending out all their reinforcements, from the mountain and stuff like that, and the Spartans are overrun. You know exactly what it reminded me of?
What's that, bud?
The Greek Spartans, 300 against the entire Persian army.
They were coming to Thermopylae,
into a Thermopylae pass, and the Spartans were having to hold their ground. And that's why I was like, man, they're really pulling from even Greek lore here, because that's exactly what it was. They were forcing them into a tight corner and just trying to hold them out as long as they possibly can. And obviously we know what happened to the Greek Spartans after a while. And in a way, it kind of does happen that way, where like someone, and in this case, not a hunchback like in the 300 film, but Maki sees Master Chief just getting his ass whooped by the big ass freaking awesome brute with a gravity hammer, just taking him down. And the Spartans are starting to leave, so Maki kind of uses she's like, shit, the only way. I love that she kind of has that moment. She's like, well, I don't want John to die, so I'm gonna activate the Halo ring. Well, not the Halo ring. Sorry, I'm going to activate the artifact to where it pulls John and her into that vision on the Halo ring. But of course, their bodies are just in kind of dormant like phase. And it was great to see kind of her and John have this moment where she's like we could live here. We're blessed. Like you and I could find the Halo ring and just forget about the world, kind of giving John that opportunity, because clearly you realize her faith is not so much in the Covenant. Her faith is not so much in humanity anymore, but it's in John, which I think makes it so hard for John when all of a sudden you start to see blood coming from her chest. And you realize Kai took this as an opportune moment to get John out of this funk that he's in, this dormant, like, catatonic state that he's in, to get him out of it, because she thinks Maki's trying to take him out of the game, and Kai shoots Maki and pulls her out of the Halo vision that wakes up John. And it's a wonderful scene, because really you look at it and at some point that might cause tension between John and Kai in future stuff.
I don't think so per se, because Maki was definitely under the impression that they could just stay there. And clearly, the second she lets go, they are back in real world again, So eventually, what would have happened was John and Master Chief would have been, or excuse me, Master Chief and Maki would have been completely surrounded. Everybody would have been wiped out, and then when they ripped Maki's, off of that thing, they would have been completely screwed. So, I think John recognizes that, or will realize that if this comes up again. And again, he's not John, right? He's not supposed to be John right now. He's supposed to be Master Chief.
True, but he was affected by it. He wanted Maki to live, and he wanted to save her. In a way,
Absolutely. Well, I think he wants to save everybody, in some ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he felt like he was getting through to her. I mean, clearly, he definitely did get through with her. But it was really Jason Kelly is saying it was really the perfect story arc for Maki. I think it was a great story arc for Maki. My only disappointment is I personally felt like we could have had more of backstory. I think we still have this question mark of what makes someone blessed and not.
So I will agree with you on that sense. I would say I would have enjoyed, and I'll mention it now since we're talking about, I would have enjoyed more Maki background and backstory, and her growing up with the Covenant rather than Quana's story.
I completely agree, and we'll talk more about the whole as people have been calling it, the Kwanha side quest, because when you see our updated ratings for the season 1, you're gonna see something interesting between Corey and I's ratings that I was even surprised about when we went back and watched the entire season again. I thought they could have done more with her personally too. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I wanted more backstory. Yeah, same. I wanted a little more about exactly what Corey said. I wanted more of the Covenant backstory, and to get some more information about what makes someone blessed and not, because we still don't know why Master Chief is compared to the others. I haven't seen it, and I don't care about the spoilers, obviously. Sorry. But listening to y'all talk so passionately, and your ability to articulate your thoughts about this so well is awesome to listen to. Thanks, man. We try. I mean, hopefully after a year of doing YouTube, I finally got a swing of it, and Corey is just, he's able to discuss shit with, because this is what we used to do when we weren't on YouTube. We would watch shit and then discuss it. It's just weird how our family was always like that. We went in depth with a lot of things. And I think a thing that really made us do that was Walking Dead. Walking Dead had so much like deep imagery that had a little side story. If you really looked into it, that to me, it was, this is the type of conversations we would have every Sunday night, after watching Walking Dead. But that's awesome. Austin. Thank you so much, bro. That really does mean a lot. I'm curious about that too.
I like what Jason Kelly says here. Having watched a show called Lost,
I do recall Lost.
I am comforted by the fact that deceased characters can still have a backstory via flashbacks.
That's a wonderful point. That's a great point. Corey is the secret sauce. Of course, he is the secret sauce. he's the hot sauce of it all.
Thanks,
Corey, remember when that used to be our tagline when we used to do our shows, like our first year? That's the hot sauce, man. That's the atomic hot sauce. I need to start bringing that back, because I am a hot sauce connoisseur. Like, I have a shit ton of hot sauce. Like, that's some mild sauce. That ain't working with me. That's some buttery sauce. This right here, this show was the atomic hot sauce on this episode in particular. But Corey, let's talk about the moment that really
got nuts.
It got nuts, but it was probably the most controversial part of this episode. Like, people were writing articles up the wazoo about this particular scene. Obviously, the Spartans are getting their ass kicked. They're being surrounded. The brutes are taking them down, and they're just being overrun, just like the Greek 300 Spartans, right? Shout out to the Cheek Bots Finding channel. Yeah, right. Yeah, they're looking for them blessed cheeks too. I can't blame them for that, you know. But it's one
They're
of
trying
those,
to clap some blessed cheeks.
they're trying to clap some blessed cheeks. You know, they were sad that Maki was gone. They're like, well, we here for you, you know. But people kept calling it the bait and switch. And I was talking to Corey about this a little earlier because the bait and switch really kind of became a big thing, partly because of He-Man, the show with Kevin Smith on Netflix. Obviously, when you have a show called He-Man, you're expecting it to be all about, you know, He-Man, and instead it was about some other female character. So people, in a sense, kind of felt like the moment that John is kind of down for the count and he can't, you know, seize the artifact, because if he touches the artifact, he's going to go into that comatose like state, into the Halo vision, and he can't help his silver team at the same time too. So it's like, what does he do? Who does he save? And of course, John doesn't believe in no-win scenarios. You know, he's going to find a way to get it done. The only way that he can save his team and get the Halo artifact away from the Covenant is to let Cortana consume his body, to take control. So this was that crazy moment that people were all like, oh my God, well, like you're taking away Master Chief. This is no longer Master Chief's story. This is the bait and switch. Like, you know, it's supposed to be about Master Chief, and the Halo series didn't feel like it to some people. What do you say to that moment? Because when the moment happens, John kind of gets that upgrade, right? Like Halsey wasn't wrong. He gets to be that superhuman soldier where he just takes down the brutes. He takes down everyone, really. He's just going hardcore at everybody.
I understand what they're trying to say. I disagree with them 100%, and I think they're trying to find something to complain about in this episode. Personally, you know, I was thinking about it, you know, especially after rewatching the entire series over again and then watching this final episode. Take away what you know about Master Chief right now, you know, take away all those different things that you know or want. And this was incredibly enjoyable. And in some ways, you're not John out there, you're Master Chief. This had to happen. There was no other way. There's still, and if you think about it even more, there's plenty of times in the game that Master Chief goes down and goes down hard and he's gone. You know, what happened to Master Chief? You don't know what happened to him, you know? So it's like, for me, this is nothing out of the ordinary in some ways too with the game as well. So those people complaining about this portion of it all, I don't agree with, or I don't work. It doesn't work for me. I don't think they can call this a bait and switch by any means.
It didn't feel, I think, you know, if anything, He-Man was far worse of a bait and switch, because I truly felt like throughout the show, Master Chief was the main character. It really was about him figuring out the truth behind, you know, his backstory, his origin, you know, Halsey kidnapping him, to, you know, Halsey trying to control him through using Cortana. Yes, we had a side quest of Kwanha, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But in the end, the story was about Master Chief, you know, learning the truth about his origin, making the sacrifices that he needs to figure out those truths and those secrets. And not only that, to go above and beyond to save his people, you know, to save the people he cares about. It just goes to show John, and in a way, it's, you know, what do we know from John in the video games? He's gonna make that ultimate sacrifice. He is gonna make that sacrifice. He's done it before. How many times has he? I mean, even when the war is over, in a sense, you know, I think in Halo 3 or 4, he tells Cortana, like, wake me when you need me. So it's not even him thinking, okay, I'm gonna live my life peacefully now. He's waiting for the next battle when humanity is going to need him again. So that's just the way he is. He's going to make that hard call. And exactly. I don't feel John was still very much in control. And in a weird way, Corey, when John does let Cortana take over. If you don't mind switching to the next slide, sir.
Yeah.
When he does let Cortana take control of him, he in a way is more like Master Chief than before.
Yes, and let's get to that in a second. I want to bring up what some of the chat is saying. So Red Hooded Outlaw says, I don't think it was a bait and switch. Let me block this user real quick. Another porn bot trying to clap some cheeks. Master Chief is definitely the main character. I agree with that, Trevor H. Bat Fanatic says, I agree. I didn't feel like it was being a bait and switch. W. Yellow Devil says, what? Corey, you think a dead chief is the only topic because we want to dunk on the show? Specifically this show, episode 9, absolutely. Because I
don't think he's he's not a dead chief at all. I clearly at some point John is going to have to come back. This is not going to be the rest of the show forever. This is not going to be season 2 where Cortana's completely controlling him.
Absolutely. And the thing that I also think too is, specifically with the saying that people are saying that this was a bait and switch show, it's just not true. And I would love to, W or Yellow Devil, if you do think this was a bait and switch show, I would love to hear your reasonings why you think that this was a bait and switch show. It was exactly like Abdul said, it was the cliffhanger for next season.
Yes, it exactly was. It was just a new story element to propel Master Chief into a new character growth moment, and and a character growth moment for Cortana.
And I think in a lot of ways, we still need to see Cortana and Chief's relationship is still a very young relationship, and it's not nearly as flourished as what we saw and what their relationship was in even Halo Combat Evolved, so Halo 1. So clearly they're going to be on a path and a journey together that gets them to the Halo John Cortana that we know. So I don't see it as a bait and switch. Jason Kelly said Cortana first told him that he would cease to be, but then she says she's not sure. She can bring him back.
That to me, that was the key moment, is when she tells him, I'm not sure if you can come back. So she's even questionable about it herself.
And that's why in some ways too, I think Jason said, I think he will be back almost immediately. I see that's a possibility. I kind of hope that they don't bring him back almost immediately. I want to see that struggle of her, looking to, maybe the first 3 episodes, first 3 episodes of her trying to find how to bring him back. And
I think that's important, kind of the search for Spock, right?
Reawaken John inside his head. So that's
I completely agree. I hope they kind of take some time with this, because they should kind of leave the audience hanging on this, like, oh my God, is John ever going to come back? And maybe tease it the next 2 episodes, The
need of the many outweighs the need.
Exactly. It was very much that moment. John made a hard decision. He basically gave up his life, not knowing if he'll ever be able to come back. And you could tell by the end of that episode, Corey, if you don't mind going to the next slide.
Can we talk about this portion though too? Like when he was just straight up rocking everybody and shooting them down, like that was fantastic. Now, I wanted to. I do know that there is a crunch for time. They were shooting all over. He was shooting. Cortana's chief was shooting all over the place.
Yeah.
She was saving the rest of the Spartan Silver team, dude. When she called in the Pelican as and using it as a freaking drone, that was super freaking exciting. The only missed opportunity that I think Cortana did was, why didn't she take out The prophets, like obviously we needed a story. We needed Halo to come in,
Well,
but
yeah.
Cortana could have fixed everything real quick. The Pelicans wiping people out,
clearly they're trying to keep somewhat with. I mean, if they killed the prophets, and like Halo fans would have been like, all right, I'm done.
They would have lost their shit.
Yeah, I mean, people were already like, Halo fans were already kind of like, oh my god, he let Cortana control Master Chief, and it's like, it's just a character growth moment. Either clearly, as Sil said, it's the new arc for the next season. It wasn't a bait and switch. At some point, Pablo is going to be back. In a way, you're probably, like I said, going to get more of a Master Chief that because clearly at the end of this episode, John's not taking off his helmet. The battle is over, which probably John, if it was John, would have taken off his helmet at this moment, driving back, flying back to Reach or something. But Kai is, she's noticed something's different with him. Something's off,
I think you hit the head of the nail here, and by saying return the search for Spock. And how amazing would it be if we have, that moment where he hasn't found himself back yet? The first, Spock is not the same after the search of Spock. It takes some time for him to become who he was when they refound him again. He had to learn a lot of things. He had to go through his training program again as Spock. You see him going through even the Vulcan trainings again, and he became more Vulcan again. So I see we could start to see more of a Master Chief that we know. And let me find it real quick. It will create a great story.
It does allow a moment for if they wanted to make it allows the writers of the Halo show to kind of decide, do we want to get closer to the games because we got so much backlash? It allows them to make some tweaks and some fixes on things they feel like were the cons of season 1.
Absolutely. But I loved what Jason Kelly said here, because I think this could be a possibility. He said, I will eat an entire elephant if they use Jeff's voice for the first time Cortana Chief speaks. Please. How awesome would that be?
Jeff's voice?
Yes.
What are you talking about?
The actual Master Chief. What's his
you mean Steve Downs?
Steve, that's it. Yes, Steve. Steve's voice. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, so
the real voice of Master Chief.
Yes. Exactly.
Right this way.
I think that would be absolutely amazing. Absolutely.
I'm excited for Helmet Chief. Yeah, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think if they're smart, they won't like do what a lot of TV shows do, where they just immediately flip it, like, oh, we're back to, Master Chief. It took one episode for him to come back. John is back in the mind. If they're smart, tease that John is still there mentally, maybe in a locked, and that's a way where maybe you can go into John's backstory a little more, where he's in this trials in his mind to kind of break through certain mind barriers to get himself back in the driver's seat of Master Chief. And it would be a great moment to kind of maybe tease at the end of the first episode that John is still there. And then maybe something happens where episode 3 or 4 of season 2, Chief is, he has to come back, And
I think I completely agree. And how I see it, Trey, I think this explains so much of Master Chief's and Cortana's relationship, and why Master Chief tries so hard to find Cortana again in the games. That's a huge arc in the games of, Cortana's in trouble, and he a lot, and he's trying to bring back Cortana the way she was. So why is he that invested in an AI? And I think we're about to find out with how invested she is in bringing Master Chief back.
Yeah, exactly. And that just kind of shows, in a way, maybe she will kind of become more humanized because she misses John, and to have that moment of, in a way, their reunion back together to the way we know Master Chief and Cortana to be. And obviously it's the year 2552. We're approaching the events of the fall of Reach. you know, so that is going to be a huge moment. I don't believe Master Chief was really a part of those events. There was another group of Spartans, but it allows maybe for Master Chief to go on a different mission. You know, they can start new side quests. We can see the Master Chief who never takes off his helmet because it looks like Cortana kind of needs him not to take off his helmet. And really there's not much emotion to him, but I think there's some really great opportunities here that could make season 2 even better, even more, more superior. Super Bat Mom says, hello all, thought I would drop in to say hello, had to work today, so still need to catch up on the last episode. Hope everyone joins in the game there. Sorry, Bat Mom, with the spoilers.
Well, she wasn't listening to us the entire time. She just popped in real quick.
Oh, she's just saying hello.
Yep, damn good. Halo Talk. Still Duo said, getting some superior Spider-Man vibes for you.
Yeah, like when Doc Ock takes over. Yeah, man, that's
absolutely. Absolutely.
Good one there.
Yeah,
Jason Kelly. Yeah, dream sequence or similar showing John's mental journey back to physical body. Exactly. That you can go into a cool story like that really allows some cool moments for Chief, for John 117 for sure. I would say the finale got me back on board for next season. As someone who was underwhelmed by first season personally, I'm intrigued going forward. Actually, still, you know, I can completely understand that. It's kind of the way I am with the Batman film. I'm more excited for the sequel than I enjoyed the first film. You know, I think there's potential for greatness, but the first one wasn't quite perfect. It wasn't great.
I agree with what Sil said, and I have some different views on the season as a whole too, as we get there as well. So let me change slide for you, pal.
Okay, so as we end with the final season finale of season 1, it ends with Master Chief. He's not there anymore. Riz was all banged up at Cortana Chief, I think is what some people have been saying. Cortana Chief was able to get her stable again, get her, save her life. But the human emotion, the connection, is not there anymore. And Kai notices that John is maybe not there anymore. So I think that's going to be an excellent point in season 2. But we also learn where Dr. Halsey is. She has escaped. She's writing some notes, and she has a really great quote that I wasn't able to really write out, but it explains her character. It's basically the summary of who she is deep down to her core as a person, where she's basically like, humanity's on a journey. It's the time to take control of their evolution, and to really reach their true potential, humanity's true potential, and that hopefully they will achieve transcendence, which is kind of funny because transcendence being a great word, obviously the title of this episode, but I don't know, Corey, if you've ever seen the Transcendence movie with Johnny Depp.
I've not.
It's actually a pretty good film. I can't remember. I think Christopher Nolan had something to do with it. I think he was a producer and maybe a writer on it. It is very much a Christopher Nolan type-esque film. And it all talks about kind of that next step in human evolution where we become digitalized. So in a way, John now being controlled by Cortana, it was kind of like that. So it just, like I said, it explains so much for who Halsey is as a person. And really, it kind of makes her an interesting potential, I don't know if I'll say villain quite yet, but she was, I guess we can go into it, Corey. I guess we can kind of talk about the entire season.
But first, before we talk about the entire season, Trey, what did you rate it, buddy?
What did I rate this episode?
What did you rate this episode?
And
chat put in the chat as well what you rated this episode.
Out of 10, no rookie scores, ladies and gentlemen. I really liked this episode. I was a bit conflicted at first with when Cortana took over, because it kind of caught me off guard, because I was like, oh my god, like they're doing it. But I thought it was a damn good episode. It left me wanting more and questioning like what's going to happen. Like I said, I was disappointed that they killed off. I mean, I think that's the right end for Maki, is for her to die. I just think they could have done more with her. So I'm a little sad that story has ended. I'm now a little bummed that Corey had some great theories that maybe we'll never see become true. So I'm going to give it not quite a masterpiece, but the best episode yet for season 1, a 9.4.
Nice. So that's a good score, Trey. How I took it was we got our fight scenes that we wanted. We got some fantastic fight scenes. We got some key moments between Cortana and Master Chief. It was a well-rounded episode all the way around for me. And I was thinking about it, got me thinking a lot. It got me thinking about some of the theories that I had right from the get-go. So for me, this was by far the best episode. I took it again the whole season with a different light, watching it through, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. But for this episode alone, I gave it a 9.6, yo.
A 9.6. Wow. Okay, so you said masterpiece territory.
Absolutely. So we had fantastic fight scenes, fantastic footage, great, in the game moments for me. I personally like some of the theories that I brought up, and I think that could be, it got me even more invested in it. And I personally, I know a lot of people took it both ways. It was controversial, but for me, it helped. I think we're going to continue to follow the footpath of Cortana's and Chief's relationship and why it is a fantastic relationship. So their bond is so tight, bro. It is tighter than, in my opinion, in a lot of ways than maybe Master Chief and the Spartans, other Spartans themselves. So the Spartans are so it's which is, I guess, kind of breeds in another element of like, holy cow, thinking about that, because the only thing a Spartan is supposed to do is be connected with another Spartan, right? We heard that in Vanek said that when they were talking about their pets, Vanek won, but Halsey killed his pet because the only thing that we're supposed to do is the only thing we're supposed to be connected to is each other. Well, it's funny that Cortana was created because Cortana kind of becomes the one that is the most connected with John and everything like that. And that's something that we see in the games as well. So for me, we didn't get that feeling and vibe throughout this season. So we need to understand more why Cortana and Master Chief is so connected. So yeah. I rated it high. I gave it a 9.6.
9.6. Yep. Yeah, that's awesome. What's the chat saying out of curiosity?
So chat is saying, Jason Kelly, for me, this episode gets a 9.9, near perfection in my opinion.
Damn, like Jason Kelly, you were just like fucking loved every piece of it. That's awesome. I'm glad, dude. That's great.
It was an exciting episode. Trevor H gave it a 9.3. Bat Fanatic gave it a 9.3. Trevor H gave it a 9.6. Bat Fanatic gave it a 9.3. Restore the Snyderverse gave it a 9.2. Trust your opinion, so I'm gonna do it. Good job. 9.7 from 9 Lives in Hell here. W gave it a 4.10, and I'd like to hear Yellow Devil's thoughts on was it specifically just you didn't like the Cortana Chief, or what really brought it to you giving it a 4, Yellow Devil? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Oracle's Clock Tower 9.5, Red Hooded Outlaw 9.3, The Butler 8.9. Jason Kelly says, woohoo, lots of 9+ going on in the chat. 9.8 from Batwoman, 9.4 from Beyond the Night. The Batman Who Laughs 9.6. Reverse it for those blessed cheeks, LOL. 9.2 from Carrie Kelly. Jason Kelly said, nice. I need to block another porn bot.
Oh, is it?
Maybe somebody did it already for us. Thank you, W, for
monitors,
taking care of them.
Monitors. You guys can take care of
Yellow Devil got us on that one. At least nice. The porn bots are tenacious, LOL.
They are, Jason.
The problem is they're changing their name just enough, or their username just enough to be able to comment again. Yeah. So That is kind of what I saw for it. So let's, I guess, get into our next slide here, Trey, and kind of talk about the season overall.
So we're gonna answer that big question, guys. Was this, even for as good as this episode was, was Halo the series worth the subscription price? Was it worth taking the time every week, every Thursday to watch it? What was the best way to watch it? Was it to just sit down and freaking binge watch it all the way through, or was one episode a week a good way to take a breather each episode? We'll talk about that. So Corey, let's go to our next slide and kind of show people what we have going on. Okay, guys. So this is how I broke it down. If you can't see our table. So I have it labeled out as the episode number, the title of that episode, the first time we watched it, the first time we reviewed that episode, what was the scores that Corey and I gave each episode, and then I put the second time we reviewed. Now, I didn't do the finale because we didn't have time to watch it a second time, but I just figured probably our score wasn't going to change because it was the most recent thing, and we've seen now the complete story arc. So, and I put our point difference between our episodes. My scores are in orange and Corey's scores are in blue. So for the first episode, I was kind of vibing more with it. I didn't think it was perfect, but I said for episode 1, Contact, I gave it a 6.1. Corey gave it a 5.7. The second time when Corey and I just binge watched it all the way through, I gave it surprisingly a little bit. And I don't mean surprisingly that I gave it a slightly higher score, is that I'm surprised that I didn't give it even more. And I realized when I watched it, I was like, wow, I actually have some issues with this. So I couldn't give it over that 7 mark.
For specifically number 1.
Yeah, for number 1. And here's some quick notes about episode 1, why I couldn't give it above a 7. While the initial shock of Master Chief taking off his helmet did kind of affect my decision that first time watching it, obviously the show did that as a way to prepare you that this was going to be a common theme that you're going to see that is different from the games. I'm fine with that, but where I had issues actually was the fact that it really felt in this episode in particular that they were just trying so hard to force Quan Ha's side story, because one, here she is, and she, when the Covenant arrives and she hides in that little place with all the other folks, people, and the children, she's like, I'm going to leave you guys here to keep you guys safe because I'm going to go do something. I'm going to go help people. And yet she gets out and she just hides. She just does more hiding. So basically she left the kids to die. So it made me not like her character more after the second time when I had to view and know what her story arc was going to be throughout the entire season. Another reason why I didn't like it was there was a particular scene, and you're going to find out that most of it was because of Quan Ha that I didn't like. But Quan Ha, she sees her dad, and an elite is coming for her. She's going to die. So her father literally spends like 10 seconds, 15 seconds shooting this elite, not doing any damage. And of course, the elite kills her father. And Master Chief just walks out literally right after the elite kills her dad and acts like, just like walking as if he didn't hear gunshots going on for 10 seconds. And then he like turns, is like, oh, there's an elite still, that to me was just kind of like a moment where the cutting and the editing of that shot was not a good way to kind of be. I mean, it's Master Chief. You think he would have heard gunshots and been like, oh, I'm good. Like, I don't need to do anything yet. And then literally because the fight sequence was not the most I think it was a short fight sequence. While it was awesome, it was really short, and I found myself really bored with the second half of the episode, to the point where I was almost checking my phone quite often. So that's why I couldn't, for those reasons, give it over a 7. Now, Corey, it looks like Corey had some different thoughts. See, Corey, like his score, you could see it bumped up 1.6 of a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say I understand what you're saying, Trey, and your thoughts there. It's certainly valid, and there are some mistakes, like you mentioned, and that's why I didn't rate that. You brought up that I didn't rate it higher. Rewatching it, we don't get very many fight scenes. So when we do get fight scenes, immediately that bumps the score up a little bit for me.
Yeah.
I was also watching this second go around a slightly different way. Obviously, being Halo fans and specifically being Master Chief in all the games and everything like that, we are very pro Master Chief, pro UNSC. You know, that's who we are.
Yeah.
And I rewatching it, and it's technically my third time watching it because I watched it with Mom a few weeks ago since she hadn't seen the very first episode. She started off that episode too, but kind of rewatching it, I had a little bit of a different take to it. I kind of liked diving deep a little bit, and it kind of boosted Quanta's story in some ways to me. I liked the idea of seeing the rebel side of things a little bit more.
Yes.
And understanding their hatred of the UNSC and maybe, you know, seeing a different light to the UNSC that we don't necessarily like.
You actually brought up, sorry, Corey, to interrupt you real quick, but I just wanted to say it because I clearly forgot about it before, but you brought up a point that I was like, this was another reason why I took my score down. While I agree with you, the rebels, like I'm glad we saw a storyline of what is going on in the rebels world against the UNSC to see that the UNSC aren't the good guys. I wasn't happy that literally I felt like we came in too quick into this first episode, that maybe there should have been 2 extra episodes before to really see the person the UNSC views Master Chief as, the face of the UNSC, the face of humanity, you know, humanity's best hope and weapon to them. Because when you see Master Chief at the end of the episode, that the UNSC were so quick to turn on him, their greatest weapon, the person that they all look at, their hope for this beating the Covenant. And simply because he, you know, didn't follow one order to kill a kid, the UNSC, even the humans, you know, the humans who have emotions, they were more Spartan-like than the Spartans because they just, we're going to kill him. We're going to kill Master Chief. And it's like, that to me was very confusing.
You know, I'm thinking about that more, what you said. And I think I don't have an issue with that as much as you do, because humans kind of in those raw emotions, you know, they think that all, you know, this thing that they programmed finally is not following orders, is not following what they are telling it to do, what it's supposed to do. And their patience ran out pretty quick. So in some ways, I see it as, you know, a computer, for example. I'm trying to run a program on a computer, and all of a sudden it starts lagging and it starts, you know, giving me that little stupid cogwheel that keeps turning around. Or maybe the computer's just running slower than it's supposed to do. I immediately turn on my damn computer. I'm like, I'm about to punch the screen, you know, take it out on the computer. You know, I'm like, why aren't you working? You know, like I get frustrated. So in some ways, I kind of eased up on the sense, because the Master Chief, the Spartan program, is still a younger program. We haven't seen everything that John is able to do yet. So for him, all of a sudden disobeying orders, I can see them being like, hold up, wait a minute, you know?
Well, you know, though, I think it was weird, though, to have it then in episode 3, because literally he becomes, you know, oh God, I'm totally spacing the term, Corey. Not MIA, but like, what's the term when someone
AWOL?
AWOL. He goes AWOL. And the fact that when he finally comes back, and they show a scene in episode 3 where, you know, the UNSC Marines are playing this weird game, like the balls in the sand thing, and they see Master Chief out and about, and they're just like, oh my God, it's Master Chief. How cool. And it's like, literally the last time you saw him, he was in handcuffs and you were going to shoot him. Yeah. You were going to shoot down his plane. So to me, it was like, it may have been better to give me a couple of episodes to really show the rebel versus the UNSC war.
But
Master Chief at his finest, and then take him from fall from grace.
I think that's one thing that we may not appreciating a little bit more, and maybe it's because we didn't serve. You know, these guys, especially in this UNC side of things, they are followers. You know, they do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know, what one group's telling them one thing, Halsey's telling Spartans a different thing. So, you know, in some ways, I get the sense that you know, if you don't follow orders, people die. And
but you know, it was kind of a weird situation though, Corey, because I know we're talking a lot about episode 1, but this one, because we had such a different opinion on it, I feel like we need to. But like with episode 1, you already started to notice that Kai had conflict. You know, she had doubts. She had, you know, she was questioning things a bit when she noticed Master Chief wasn't following protocol, that like he's acting weird. Why? Rather than Vanek and Riz were just very much mission. So that's why I go, well, that didn't really, why was Kai already kind of that way?
Because Kai was with him when he touched the relic.
So you think simply because she had the initial energy burst of whatever happened with the artifact that it may have also triggered something in her as well?
I think there's a possibility to that. We see how powerful the relic is, but in some ways she saw things that the other Spartans and other people didn't see. So she knew the true power of this relic, that, you know, something happened. There was a shortage of Master Chief, you know, like, and that's one thing that, you know, I kind of appreciated as well. Like, of course, you know, it was almost like it hit a reset button, if that makes sense, Trey. Because you know, one of the reasons I rated number 1 so low in the beginning was because I was up. There's things I was upset about, but I was super pissed off that Master Chief just took off his helmet and showed us.
We were initially very shocked by that.
But
you know,
but that being said, Trey, rewatching it doesn't bother me at all, not one bit. It doesn't bother me one bit anymore, and not because we see his face or we see his ass in later episodes. It's because the whole game changed. The entire game changed the second he touched that relic. The second he touched that relic, it was a reset, 100% reset, and the rules changed. It's different now. He unlocked a thing inside of him that made him feel different things, made him, you know, relive different things from his past, and completely take him on a different whirlwind. So for me,
a different journey than we know of Master Chief.
Exactly.
Basically.
And that's why I gave it a little bit of a higher score. It wasn't perfect, but I eased up on it quite a bit.
That's fair. And I appreciate that. Jason Kelly says, we've all seen Terminator and iRobot, great films, by the way. The UNSC would have contingencies in case a Spartan went rogue because they are basically weapons of mass destruction in human form. That is a wonderful point, Jason. And I agree with that. And that was something I did notice watching in episode 1, that in a way, while they look at the Spartans as their number one hope, they also look at like, oh shit, like if we ever lost control of these things, you know, we're screwed because we can't really beat them. I just thought it was interesting to see that the Spartans, Kai, more importantly, had conflict and doubt about taking out Chief, and that the humans, who there's their poster boy, that's their Captain America in a way, and here we go, we're going to shoot him.
But I think they had to be exactly based on what Jason Kelly said. If you have a nuke that could potentially go off at any moment, and all of a sudden, you know, shit's about, you know, it's about to go off, but I have a kill switch, you better believe I'm going to pull that kill switch.
That's a wonderful point, Corey. You know, you are right about that. You know, I think that's a great way of looking at me. I mean, obviously a nuclear bomb is a bit different than a Spartan, but
sure.
But it is a great kind of reference connection comparison that I can accept. That. So the second episode, Unbound, first, time watching it, I gave it a 5.9. Corey gave it a 5.7. So obviously you see a drop from my score. Corey kind of was still conflicted, not sure if Halo was worth watching. The second time we watched it, our scores went up a little bit. We saw the importance of episode 2, kind of a filler episode, a bit slow, but it had moments that we appreciated. It was 6.3 and Corey gave it a 6.4. And then Emergence.
We liked that episode.
We liked that one a lot more. The first time we gave it a little bit of a low score because we weren't sure what was going to happen. You know, we didn't know how it was going to affect the overall story arc, but it was our favorite episode at the first time when we saw it. But this time you see a huge jump. Corey and I both gave it over a 1 point difference in growth of what we thought of it. Cause I mean, Jen Taylor coming back as Cortana, Halsey, her whole confliction, and the fact that she was just cold and willing to just kill a clone. Wonderful. Like, just wonderful. Just absolutely loved it.
Can I make a quick mention to our points, because I didn't see your scores and you didn't see my scores until after you watched them.
It was very interesting.
It's interesting to see the point differences and how we, sometimes we're dead on together. 1.1, 1.1, 0.2, 0.2. Our increases are very similar in ways, which is interesting. Minus the first one. The first one is the biggest difference.
Yeah, and that's where I said I was very surprised about my initial reaction the second time I watched the first episode. Is like I was kind of surprised that I wasn't like, oh hell yeah. And it was just themes I caught that time. I was kind of like, oh, that kind of put me off. But Jason Kelly says they're basically shitting themselves the whole season over that very idea. The Spartans could go rogue. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right about that. There is a lot of truth to that. And then Corey and I both agreed on episode 4, Homecoming, that it was the worst episode of season 1. That it was very slow. It just was kind of boring to us throughout. As we gave it in our first time watching it a 5.9, Corey gave it a 5.7. Our scores barely grew simply because it did explain some of John's origins. But for Corey and I, who have played the video games, we already knew some of that origin. So it didn't have the same impact on us that it would for people who had no idea about Halo. So I gave it a 6.1 the second time. Corey gave it a 5.9. Both had the same point difference of growth. And then in Reckoning, this is where things really...
And I would say, too, for Homecoming as well, rewatching it, we've now seen multiple episodes without that, major fight scene that we're looking for. So I was still frustrated about that. But two,
it was 2 slow episodes back to back.
And two, Kwanha, her storyline, while I appreciate it a little bit more now, I still would have rather have seen Maki's backstory. It was getting to me that the side quest was still a side quest to me.
Yeah,
my initial side quest thoughts was it's still a side quest.
Agree. And then episode 5, this is what was the game changer for Halo the series. Episode 5 really just took it to a whole new level and brought it back to a place where I felt like fans could accept this show. Corey and I both, the first time we watched it, agreed on an 8.8. We were like, damn, this was like fantastic. Great episode. The second time we watched it, I gave it, I felt like I was about at the same place. I gave it a little bit of a higher score just because of how great the action sequence was. So I give it an 8.9. Corey went all the way to give it a 9.1. So we still had a bit of a similar point difference, but Corey felt it was worthy to say this was an awesome episode.
Absolutely.
The only reason why I couldn't give it a 9, and I struggled with it. Second time I watched it, I kept debating, should I just give it the 9? Should I just give it the 9? And I just decided I couldn't give it the 9 because of Kwanha. And I don't mean to completely put my issues on Kwanha, but like the fact that she pulls the gun on Soren and she, after knocking him out, he's out, he's lights out. She pulls the gun and acts like she's going to shoot him. If they would have just gotten that one scene, gotten rid of it, I would have been 9.3, 9.4 easily. But it pissed me off so much because it was like literally this guy throughout the entire episode before saved your ass. He saved you from being murdered. And you've been nothing but a spoiled problem for him this entire time. He's going out of his way to help you. And yes, he is planning on getting money in return. But the fact that she just even considers ending his life when he's the one reason why she's still alive, I was kind of like, I hate that. Like, you didn't show growth in your character at all. Like, you need this dude, you know? It just didn't make sense to me at all.
Look, so this is what I'll say about that episode. I gave it a 9.1. I thought it passed that 9 barrier. I thought the fight scene was absolutely fantastic. We saw our grunts. We saw all the different Covenant aliens that we've been wanting to see. The scene was great. A lot of cool things. It was neat seeing, the kind of the conflict between Cortana and Chief in that episode, as well as we're starting to get some real conflict between Chief and Halsey. So a major conflict where bodies are shut down. Yeah. Now, me, I struggle with punishing the whole class, type mentality.
Yeah, but
I would ask you this, Trey. I eased up off Kwanha a little bit rewatching it. She is annoying. There's things I very dislike about her character.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, Trey. If that Kwanha scene, like you said, the only thing that you were bothered about was she was pointing the gun at Soren at the very end of the episode. If that scene, before it was just she knocked him out, he falls to the ground, black screen, Halo credits. Does the score go to 9?
Possibly. There is one thing of reason why now that it's coming back to me, there's another reason why I didn't give it a 9. Simply because when I know the story arc now, I know it didn't get paid off. Is that like this arc didn't get paid off in a way? There's a moment that kind of happens that is kind of, it's an outlier factor. Like, it doesn't match everything that happened throughout the entire show. It just it was a weird thing that it was great, but it didn't pay off. And where I say that is, there's a moment when Miranda Keyes is in trouble. Like, her ship has been, I think, blown up, and Halsey is there on her ship, and she sees her daughter's in trouble. She goes out of her way to save her daughter. And I was like, wow. The second time I watched it, I finally caught it and was like, that is very interesting. Like, that is just so interesting to me. But then when I thought about it, as I was thinking, while it piqued my interest in that second time viewing, I was like, but they never kind of go back to that. Halsey kind of goes right back to her old way, saying human emotion is weakness. Human connection is weakness. She's back to her cold self. And maybe they're trying to set that up.
It was for her because they clearly lost the artifact by people doing other things that they were supposed to do. The artifact was lost. So
yeah, and that's where I say there was just kind of a moment where I was curious about it, and there was just a few moments where I was kind of it's almost perfect. It's the action, and that's where I was kind of the 8.9 really just went all to the action, and that's where I was I feel like my score was fair. But I agree, anyone who says it's above a 9, I completely agree with you. It was definitely of that caliber. It's up there. Next episode, Inheritance. This one was about Kwanha. The first time Corey and I watched it, we gave it a 6.8. It was our third worst episode at the time with 6.4. But after seeing the complete arc, we raised our score a little bit. We gave it a 7.2. Corey gave his score even higher with a 7.1. He had a 0.7 point difference, which was, I would say, pretty huge. And I agree that there were moments where I appreciated her character, and I thought she was cool. She did have a few script moments where I was kind of that landed weird and didn't quite sit well. But overall, I felt like it was a good ending point for Kwanha to make her not completely a useless side quest, because the thing that interests me the most about that episode was the Mystic Well, the monitor being there. I don't think it's Guilty Sparks, Guilty 343. But I did think that was very interesting, and I do hope we learn more about that, which tends to tell me
we'll see Kwanha and Magical again. Yeah, it'll come back.
I absolutely agree.
And
Then
hopefully she's a little bit more mature at this next stage of
hopefully
her
as well,
life.
right? And then Allegiance, episode 8, we get 8.6 the first time, 7.7 for Corey. My score stayed the same. Like I was kind of like, I think 8.6 is fair. I think I rated that right where it needed to be. Corey had a good jump of 0.7 again, 8.4. Corey really enjoyed that score. I just really loved the tension and the manipulation that Halsey did. And kind of the jump starter into episode 9. And then, as you guys already know, episode 9 was the best episode both of us thought for Halo, the season 1. So the first time we watched it, our average score throughout the entire show was 7.2, 7.1. So Corey and I were pretty damn close to matching. But interesting enough, the second time we watched it, my score was less than Corey. So we didn't have quite the same point, upgrade to it. So, personally, I just think it's kind of fascinating that Corey, the second time he watched it, really seemed to enjoy it at least a little more in difference than Corey had a 0.7 upgrade from point difference. I did only 0.5. So Corey, to kind of answer the question, obviously Corey and I always say anything above a 5 is worth watching. When you get into that 6 territory, it's kind of like it's enjoyable. Is it good? It's like it's good, but it's like it's watchable, is basically what we're saying. And then when we get to a 7, we are saying it's good. It's definitely worth the watch. 8 is saying it's a solid thing that, like, yeah, you're definitely getting enjoyment out of it. 9, we're talking about like near perfect, to anything above a 9.5 is the perfect show ever. So I think we gave it a fair score. I think being in that kind of high 7s, I think we're saying there was a lot of things they did good, like the action sequences were perfect for Halo, but there's definitely room and potential for even better season 2.
I completely agree. I think the high 7s is where this show is after seeing the entire arc, and I'm glad we re-rated things because a low 7 tells me that like what do you classify as a 6 trade? High 6?
High 6 means it's watchable. You kind of get some enjoyment, but you probably won't go back to see it.
Yeah. I think this is a show that I will watch 100% all over again, especially as we get to season 2 and are getting ready to start season 2. I think the 7.7 that you scored and the 7.8 that I scored, it's funny how close we are once again.
We were pretty on the same page, especially how we graded it the second time. Our point difference was lining up pretty damn close to each other. It was kind of funny to see because Corey and I, we weren't telling each other, each other's scores for the second time. We were just seeing if we were going to line up a similar way. And
I literally sent Trey the list at like 8 o'clock this morning of all my episodes, and he put it into the PowerPoint slide. So I think it's a fair score. I think the high 7s, it's close to an 8. It was extremely enjoyable. I think with the last episode 9, really did it in for me. It like Sil said earlier, it got me super excited for the future of this series. And the biggest thing, it was the first time that I was watching it, and I was having tons of theories and things that were popping up in my head, like, oh man, I wonder about this, I wonder about that. Oh man, that was great how they did this, how they did that. I am so excited for season 2, the search for John. So
the search for John. So Corey, can you go to our next slide?
Absolutely.
Let's talk about something here. So let's talk about what were the pros of this show? Like, what's something they need to bring back and continue to expand upon it? What were some cons? Where are some things that they can maybe leave behind?
I would say for me, pros were absolutely amazing fight scenes, especially the last episode. I would say John's relationship with Cortana is advancing just the way I would want it to, and I'm so curious to see how they continue to grow and build their bond with each other. The search for John is on. I'm super excited to see John's relationship once when he comes back with the other Spartans. I want to see some resolution to how Vanek and some of the other ones are doing and feeling about this entire situation. I hope that we see Soren again, hopefully without Kwanha as much, but I do think that Kwanha is going to play some type of decent sized role again, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Next episode, I hope that she does better this go around. But Kwanha was a con for me, so they really need to figure out her storyline a little bit better for season 2.
I think they need to write her just a little better. Give her a little bit of a better script. Don't make her so whiny. Don't make her so immature in the sense where she's like, if you're not going to help me, then F you. When it's like, girl, clearly you need them. Like don't be stupid. Like your father, and I get it, she's young, right? Like, but you would think her father, who was a general of a rebellion, he's a lot of weight on his shoulders, that he would have prepared her for this mission, because clearly it was a mission for his entire family to take care of Magical. And I understand her story arc to where in the very first time we see her, she says, I can't wait to leave this stupid planet, to where she feels a certain responsibility that her family felt for the planet to protect it, to save it. And I like that. I just think let's just write it a little better. Let's not make her so irritating in the sense that someone like Soren, who can really help her and benefit her cause, have her understand that, have her recognize that leadership, put her in a place in season 2 where she is a seasoned general, of the rebellion.
I would also say, Trey, I hope continuing on. I hope that Halo season 2 starts off the same way that a lot of the Halo games do, and it's really almost right back where we last left them in a lot of ways. Not much time has gone by.
It really doesn't have too much of a time difference, except for I think until Halo 3 and 4.
I hope that we see it right away, and the reason for that is because we're kind of in the cool sense where Cortana, the Silver team, are going to have to kind of protect John until we can get him back, and as well as protect the relic, because obviously, the Covenant is immediately launching, their, teams out to stop that Pelican.
It could be the very reason why they attack Reach, to get that artifact back.
Absolutely, and I hope we may see. I would like to see, maybe some space battles this go around. A little
space
bit more
battles
aerial,
would be cool.
A little more aerial battles in season 2.
I would dig that. Some things that I would like to see them improve on. I think the Halsey situation is incredible. The Cortana relationship with John is great. I can't wait to see what they do with Kai. And John, because it looks like I still think there's something there between them that like maybe she'll in a way take the place of Maki in terms of love interest, but possibly. I mean, that's depending if they keep John kind of the same way he is when he comes back, rather than more like the Master Chief that we know from the games. But I would also love to see them kind of put in more of the video games, put in some of the audio, the sound effects, the assault rifles, the plasma grenades, give us some of those things that we recognize as Halo to kind of put us more into that realm, into that world. Let us hear the elites do the whoa, 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 that whole thing. I think that would be great.
You want to know what
bring it more home.
Absolutely. You want to know what probably my favorite thing about what what this series of Halo has done for one, Halo fans, and two, people who are not Halo fans. It created a new content that allowed people. I think overall the fans, a lot of the fans probably enjoyed this series, similar to where we did it with that score of 7-7-7-8. But I think the most exciting about it all, it got new fans excited and new people who aren't, used to the or necessarily understanding or knows the story or the history of Halo. It got new people involved. And what does that mean? You got Wonder Wife playing campaign with you.
Yeah, she's playing the video games with me now.
We have Super Batmom, who's watched every single episode thus far. Well, minus this last one because she had to work yesterday and today, I believe. But so she's invested now. So by getting more and more people invested with Halo is a great thing for Halo fans. We want more people to be falling in love with these characters, falling in love with these stories. We want more Halo content. We want more Halo games, and we want more, just great content. And I think that I see light at the end of the tunnel. I think we had a lot of slow episodes, especially when we were first watching it and everything like that. There were some things that we had issues with, but I think overall we saw the growth of Halo, the series, and rewatching it again, it became more enjoyable for us, knowing a little bit more about the entire
I think it started off slow. I mean, the first episode started off with a bit of a bang, but then we had a valley there for sure with slow episodes, but great character development between, like we said, the pros of Cortana, Halsey, just wonderfully written characters. And I think that's what was unfortunate for Kwanha, was that here you had Cortana, Halsey, who were just beautifully written and just so complex of characters that Kwanha's character development didn't quite meet that same level. But if anything, this show has a good start, but plenty of room for growth and improvement to making a really good show. And I understand for Halo fans of the games, maybe the comics and the books, why they maybe aren't happy with it. I could see why they say it's boring. It's completely disingenuous to the Halo lore that we love. But at the same time, it's kind of like how people felt about Man of Steel. People were like, my Superman's perfect. My Superman would never do that. But it's like, well, how do we get to that Superman? Superman just wouldn't show up and be perfect. I like seeing that growth from here's this person trying to figure it out. Yeah. And then here's to that person that we all know and love. And I think they could do that with Master Chief. The ball's in their court right now with the story writers to give us something really good, bring in the action. I would say definitely more and more action because they do it very, very well. Give us some great character development of Master Chief, Cortana. Let us know what Halsey's up to now, and if you want to bring back Kwanha, just make sure you write her in a way where she can, not feel like she's such a, checking your watch every 5 minutes. Like, good God, when is she going to end?
Well said, Super Bro Trey. Since you brought up that Man of Steel quote, I figured give you a SBT comment there. No, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's amazing to me. And like Jason Kelly said, the amount of hate I see on Facebook for the show is disheartening. And I'm as a true Halo fan, I'm excited for the show next season. I'm excited for the future of this Halo series. I want this to be a good show. I'm not, I'm looking forward to the future of Halo personally, and I'm looking forward to the future of the story. And you said it great, Trey. I hope we see a Master Chief that is trying to figure his way out. I want to see that connection between Cortana and Master Chief. So
yeah,
good, well said, Trey.
I think, like I said, good start. I understand people's reservations who love the games. But I also see as a science fiction genre entry of entertainment and story, I think it for a science fiction show, very, very cool. And some great things happening there that hopefully they can bring it into where the gaming fans are more appreciative, more dig where season 2 goes, to where they can kind of unite the fandom a little bit. But like I said, the ball's in their court now. I think they have a good idea of what works, what doesn't, what people were receptive to and what they enjoyed, to where they can really hone in on the things that made the show great. And maybe remove the things or improve the things that maybe people had issues with. But no matter what, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
What Yellow Devil said here.
Yellow Devil says, Oracle, you can't expect the fandom to like Meat Puppet Chief when a team up sequence at the last battle would have been perfect.
Oh. Hey, Meat Puppet Chief, that makes me laugh. Yeah. No, but I hear what you're saying, Yellow Devil.
It's completely fine. If you didn't like it, like that, like I said, when it comes to our channel, guys, and for if people who do play the games, who love the games and just absolutely hated the show, hey, I'm sorry that you didn't feel like you get your money's worth when paying for the Paramount Plus subscription. Hopefully season 2 does it for you if you decide to give it a chance. If not, come to our show and we'll tell you about it so you don't have to pay your Paramount Plus
subscription. At this point, I would certainly, as we mentioned, I guess we should answer that question to you, Trey. Purchase Paramount Plus for Halo alone?
For Halo alone? Yeah, I think, I think I would say, well, here's a great question, Corey. Is it better to watch week by week or binge?
So I'm a binge watcher. I always have. Well, I haven't always been, but now that binge watching is available with these types of shows, I like the binge side of thing personally. I would absolutely binge it, and I would say since Halo, since 1883, since the offer. They have some other ones that are coming out as well.
Yeah, they have some good stuff coming on Paramount Plus.
I would personally say pick up Paramount Plus. People in the chat are saying some fun things. Let me see here. Like it, but why do people attack it? I don't expect them to blind hate, but silly. Awesome show, guys, per usual. So thank you, Jason Kelly. Where do I see the free stuff from Game Pass? Definitely makes it worth it. Okay, here it is. Oracle's Clock Tower says binge. Trevor H says binge. Beat Fanatic. Bat Fanatic said week by week. Debbie said week by week.
Okay.
Restore the Cyberverse guy says binge, and Yellow Devil says with girlfriends and cocktails. Week by week, need time to reflect. That's a very good point as well. I think you guys bring up some great points. It's sad. I've become more of a binger over the years. So I love.
Yeah, I have too. It helps you from the anger and the frustration. We're like, I gotta wait a week when they leave you on cliffhangers. But I totally get it. Jason Kelly says, I'd love to be able to binge it, but I cannot help myself. Plus, avoiding spoilers is a bitch. I agree. It really is tough. And sorry, that's why we try to tell people like, hey, spoiler review, so you don't get caught. And then why I put it in my thumbnail to say, don't risk it.
I'm curious. Now, the ones who are saying week by week, is that because you like to take the week to process that episode completely, or what's your thoughts on that, chat? I'd love to hear it. So. Looks like 9 Lives in Hell said yes. So I'm assuming that's what you're agreeing with what I'm saying here. But
yeah, I think I completely understand it. Like with something like with Walking Dead, how we used to do, having a week to speculate the next thing, that it becomes a fun discussion, right? Rather than if you binge watch everything and you talk to someone like, oh my God, you should just watch a show because I binged the hell out of it, rather than a week by week discussion. I think possibly you could say allows for more audience growth, because people like, what's this show I keep hearing about? People keep talking about it. But it'll be good. Guys, as I was saying earlier, thank you so much for hanging out with us for this whole Halo, this season 1 series. It's been a really fun time, especially I don't think we've ever really done a week by week review on a show. And I kind of dug it. It was nice to really break down episodes for you guys. I know some people do like 20-minute breakdowns, but they don't really dive deep into the story with it sometimes. And I like that we get to really chat with you guys and say, hey, this is the nitty gritty of this story. This is the underlying truth and facts and little tidbits about references and Easter eggs and stuff like that. I love doing that with you guys. But Jason Kelly, I can't wait to play with you tonight as well, man, on Halo Infinite. And as we kind of wrap this up, guys, if you didn't know already, which we kind of already talked about it, we are doing our season finale game party of Halo Infinite. Send us your request now so I can accept it. Let me know you're from the Bat channel, so that way I know you're not spamming me. You're not one of these porn bots that keep hitting us up. But May 21st tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, send us your gamer tag to Titans Space Valor 12, and for Super Bro Corey, it's Biggie C72. We're gonna play for a couple of hours, depending on how many people there are, and depending on what games we're gonna do online, depending on the size of our fire team. But it's just gonna be a good time. We're just gonna be chilling, hanging out with you guys. We may stream it. We don't know. We've never done it before, so we might try it. But we'll see. But guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Don't forget also Sunday, tomorrow, their birthday celebration stream at 2 p.m. Eastern. Just gonna be having a damn good time chilling with friends like Sil Abdul, maybe, if he can show up. I know he's kind of busy. I think he works tomorrow as well. But we're gonna have a lot of people on our panel tomorrow just to kind of hang out, maybe an hour, maybe two, just to kind of celebrate with you guys, just to have a good time. But we appreciate it as always. You can set your reminders now for that. And we're just going to keep killing it. I think the next show that Corey and I are really going to break down week by week is going to be Kenobi on Disney Plus, because I'm a big Obi-Wan Kenobi fan of Disney, Star Wars, I should say. But guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Make sure, if you haven't already, to smash that like, share this video. The more people that we get to see, our audience helps us grow even bigger to make our production even better. So it's really, as we kind of did with the Halo writers, the ball's in your court, guys, to helping us grow and reach that new level of content. So please let us know that you enjoy what we do by smashing the like, sharing the video, hitting the notification bell so you never miss an episode, subscribe to our channel. And as always, I am your host of the Bat Channel, Trey, with
Super Bro Corey.
And don't forget to tune in weekly.
Same bat time.
Same Bat Channel. Get ready to join the fight, Spartans. We playing hard tonight. We going.
And make sure you watch Trey's Twitter account if I figure out how to stream it or create one of those things.
At
we'll
the underscore Bat Channel
awesome.
is my Twitter account. Follow us on there.
Love you guys.
See you.